Should I say here? My name is Emanuela Owate. My reboot camp story began 3 years ago. I remember very vividly. It was December 13, 2023. That was my very first reboot camp Toronto experience. I remember us going to Muskoka Bible Camp, and the most important thought and prayer in my head at the time was about my permanent residency in Canada. At that point, I had been in the country since 2017. I had graduated, I had worked for a year. So I was very expectant that I was going to get my permanent residency in the new year because it just seemed like immigration in this country was just going dire. So I did not know what to expect at all. So I went in there, very scared, but I had heard a lot about Reboot Camp before. I was very expectant as well that God will show up for me. So I went there, I prayed the long stretches of prayer. I spent it praying about my permanent residency. And while I was praying about it, the main word that kept coming was that I should pray that one single penny out of my pocket would not come out to pay for my postgraduate degree. And I kept praying and I kept thinking and asking God, why am I asking you about immigration and you're telling me about school? Because in my head, I had this whole plan. Okay, I'll get my permanent residency, I'll save a bit for school, and then I'll go to school in a couple of years. That was my plan. I'm like, God, follow the plan. Like, what are you talking about? So I kept praying. I kept hearing the same thing. I said, no problem. Aside from that, the only other thing I heard during Reboot Camp was about spiritual growth. So imagine just going there hopeful that you would hear a word about your immigration situation and you don't hear anything. So immediately I got that word and I transitioned into 2024, the new year. It seemed like the whole immigration situation just even became worse for me. I tried a lot of things. I had a lot of near misses. When my score is 499, they'll stop calling scores under 400. When my score became 509 during the same year, they stopped calling scores that were close to that. So my score will always come close, but they will never call it. In 2025, I even tried to study French. I got a tutor. I practiced weekly for about 6 months. I improved my French levels visibly. Even my tutor was so proud of me. And I tried that route. I had another near miss where I would always get almost the score I need, but never the one that I actually needed to go through the French immigration pathway. So I was beginning to get very frustrated, and whenever I would pray about immigration or any uncertainty in my life, it was so funny because I would always hear June 2026, and then I would ask, what does that mean? And then I'll hear nothing. And I was just thinking in my head, it's not possible that June 2026 I'm going to get my PR. I'm in 2024. I've been in this country since 2017. How? Like, it's not possible. And then I went through that whole process and Reboot Camp 2024 came again. I took that word there. I kept praying. This time I saw a vision of myself in a white dress holding 2 Canadian flags. So I was like, okay, something is surely going to happen in 2025. Because my work permit was also expiring on May 28th, 2025. So I got that word. I was like happy. Okay, something good is about to happen now. There is no way God will let my work permit expire without permanent residency. I'm in this country. I'm studying French. Something has to work. Like, surely something has to work. I even practicalized the vision I saw as well. I made a video about it on my phone and I kept praying about it. I was still be hearing the whole June 2016, but I wasn't honestly sure what it was related to. And getting that vision of me in a white dress and holding a Canadian flag, I was convinced that there was no way God would let me go through 2025 without getting my permanent residency. I even remember in 2024 joining the Hallelujah Challenge, trying to show my faith. I created a PR card by myself from scratch and pasted it on my wall. There were so many things about this I pasted on my wall I was looking to daily, but it just seemed like nothing was happening. That's how May 28th, 2025 came and my work permit expired. I lost my job and I was just feeling hopeless because I was like, it's not the same me that's seeing all these visions, getting all these words. And the most frustrating part about it was that it was not just words I was getting for myself. So I knew it was not just in my head. A lot of people will confirm exact words that God had given to me and tell me again like it was a new thing, but I would know it's from God because I had already heard it. So it was a very, very big trust journey for me because I had to go through the whole year of 2025 trusting God without knowing what my outcome would be for my immigration, for school. I was just trusting. I kept studying French. I wrote the exam once, twice. I still kept getting scores that were close to what I needed for the French pathway, but not just there. And it just seemed like I needed to trust how God wanted to let me get this permanent residency, basically. Before I had lost my job, one of the first miracles that really made me trust God as my source was me getting a retroactive pay from work that was inclusive of a salary bump that I had gotten recently. This lump sum payment helped me to survive from May 28th, which is when I had to lose my job as a result of my work permit expiring, to about February 2026. Because one of my major concerns in terms of losing my job is how I was going to survive. So in this period, I got to see that at the end of the day, God is my source, not a job, not a business. Because up till now, I've not been able to work and God has always found ways to provide for me. So moving into the summer of 2025, as it was a huge waiting period for me, after I had taken all my French exams and that didn't end up working out, I decided to stop that because my finances were basically getting depleted. So I went back to God and I kept praying for direction during that time. So it's a period where I'm waiting. I don't have work. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, but I know whether I have a job or not, God has a direction for my life. So I started praying, God, what do you want me to do with this season? What do you want me to achieve? Is there something new you want me to change about myself? And I kept having these recurring dreams of me being in a school setting. So now I'm seeing myself in a school. It would happen, I think it was once a week at least. And I kept thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's just that God is trying to train me for something. Maybe that's why I keep seeing myself in a school setting. Then I kept getting nudges from different places. Like I know my mom called me several times and she was saying, okay, you're waiting for your PR. Maybe you should apply for a master's degree. And I knew it was always something I wanted to do. I knew the course I wanted to do, but I was like, I haven't got to my permanent residency yet. So again, sticking to my own plans and my way of doing things. That same word came from other people. And I had the inkling in my spirit as well. And when I kept getting the dreams, I just felt finally in October of 2025, I should just take the plunge and start researching schools. So I researched schools in the US, in the UK, and in Canada as well. The first thing I found was that Canada did not have that particular program. So I knew that I was out of it. Because of the political climate in the US, I decided not to use that route. So I ended up deciding to search for schools in the United Kingdom only, which made things very easy because for most of their processes, I didn't have to pay the application fee. So I did a bunch of research. I tried to find the best schools and I started my application process. So towards the end of the year, that was my focus and I decided to finally take that plunge to apply for schools. Then Reboot Camp December 2025 came again. I went to the Toronto experience. I went there 3rd year in a row, praying about immigration. I heard very clearly, doors of nations are open to you and you're finally ready to walk through those doors. So I was thinking, okay, doors of nations, so the UK and Canada, because I'll be going to the UK for school when I finally get accepted, and also Canada for my permanent residency. So that was on December 5th. I remember the exact day I heard that word. So I left Reboot Camp very happy. Oh, my permanent residency is coming. God has confirmed his word again and said something more specific this time. That was December 5th. Now tell me why on December 23rd, after I had applied for a visitor record to keep staying in Canada, after my work permit had expired, I got news from IRCC that they had rejected my visitors record application and that I needed to leave the country immediately. That day I googled what immediately meant like 100 times because what does immediately mean? I'm like, I don't understand. It's so weird that anytime God speaks to me, a challenge will come or something different will happen. I'm like, doors of nations are open to you. You're ready to walk through them. They are telling me to leave the nation that is open to me. I said, okay. That day, I can't lie, I almost ran mad. I did not know what to do. Christmas was coming. Most immigration consultants were closed, so I had to wait till after Christmas to find out what my next steps were because I didn't want to make any rash decisions. And I know I was very anxious, so I wanted to wait. So December 26th, finally, I spoke to an immigration consultant and they told me I had two options. I either go back to Nigeria and wait for my permanent residency and apply from another country, or I can go to somewhere like Mexico, that's a nearby country, and then I'll come back into Canada a couple days later, and that would give me 6 months, and that would make me in status. They basically explained to me that if I still stayed in the country after they had told me to leave, I'll be out of status. So even if I get my permanent residency, they will still reject it. So that was another important decision I had to make for myself. It was very hard. I did not know what to do, so I just kept praying about it. So December 26th, 27th, I now heard Pastor was coming to CCI Toronto. December 28th. December 28th, which is actually one day to my birthday, December 29th. So I thought, God has given me birthday gifts. Pastor will come. He will tell me which decision to make because I kept praying about it and I did not know whether I should just leave to Nigeria. Maybe Canada is no longer for me. Maybe God has changed his mind, which was very weird because all the things I kept seeing about myself, all the words I was getting was very contrary to that. So I said, God, maybe if you don't want to answer me, you speak to Pastor directly. So no problem. Let me go and speak to him. So I booked appointment December 28th. I went to see Pastor. Before I could even finish telling him the story, I had not told him anything about school. He told me, oh, don't discount the UK. Don't discount the UK. I hadn't even told him anything about me applying to school there or anything. I was just like, oh my God, they want me to leave this country. I don't know what decision to make. Pastor, what do you think about this? Pray, hear from God. Tell me what he's saying now. Like all those type of things. Pastor said, don't discount the UK. Again, I'm praying about my immigration. God is telling me about school. So it was very, very frustrating. I think what I got in my spirit at that time was, and as well as what Pastor confirmed, was that God is trying to teach me how to make decisions when I don't know the outcome and how to trust him through that process. And what I'm learning now is something that will benefit me 5 years from now. So even if he doesn't have like the specific answer, I need to make that decision for myself. One thing that helped me make my final decision about either going to Mexico or Nigeria was something one of my very close friends said to me, which is that sometimes when you're not hearing anything from God, it's because he has already said everything he had to say. So I went back to all my Reboot Camp past notes. I read them. I'm like, what is consistent with what the word of God has said and what God has actually also said to you more specifically? And so I decided to go to Mexico. So I went there on January 6th of 2026. And then one important part I forgot to mention was that when I came back into Canada, it was a 50-50 chance that they were going to let me in. So when I was going to Mexico, I had to pack my bags like I was leaving the country. In fact, I booked a ticket to Nigeria as well for that day. So if they said no at the airport, I would just pack my bags and leave. So it was a full faith and trust journey. I had a very, very good community of friends praying for me, and they stayed up that night because I was landing on the midnight of the 9th, going into the 10th of January 2026. And most of them did not sleep until I had made it into the country. I remember even my mentor praying with me every single day for about an hour regarding the situation because I was in Mexico on vacation, but my chest was very high throughout. I was so anxious because I genuinely did not know the outcome. So I packed my bags. I went to Mexico for a vacation. So when I got to the airport on January 9th, going into the 10th, and I was supposed to go through the border agents, I was very anxious about it because I had expected a lot of questions. But when I got there, they just asked me the purpose of my visit and I was able to enter the country very seamlessly. and finally gave rest to all my friends and my family that were praying for me until I was able to enter the country. And that way, I was back in status and I had about 6 months to stay in the country and wait to get called for my permanent residency. So after I was allowed back into the country on January 10, 2026, that is when my actual testimony started. So 3 years later, after praying for about 3 reboot camps, that's when I saw all the words that God has spoken to me come to fruition. So the very first one was on January 21st. I finally got called to apply for my permanent residency, and it was a very exciting day. I had been waiting for it for 3 years. So honestly, within 10 days, I had all my documents ready and I had submitted my application. So exactly as God had said it, as he had been highlighting it to me, I got my permanent residency in June 2026. Going back to all the words that God has said to me about my educational journey, I had applied to a bunch of schools in the UK already by December 2025, and I started to hear back about most of them in January 2026. So I had applied to about 6 schools, and with each acceptance I also got scholarships, which were between about £5,000 to £10,000. And these were scholarships that I did not have to apply for. They just came from putting in my personal statement and my application to the schools. And I also found that this was really rare for people, because when I asked different educational agencies, I heard that the max that they mostly give people is about £2,000. And given that I had not been working or anything, I did not have money to go to school. So even applying, I just trusted God through it.
Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. There is a way. There is a way. There is a way. Listen, to pay that master's fees, there is a way. There is a way.
The most significant of them was when I got accepted to the London School of Economics in February 2026, after applying in January. This was very profound and exciting because that school only has an 8% acceptance rate. So I just applied on a whim and trusted God through it.
Got the admission, no scholarship, there is a way. You've applied, no job, there is a way.
And funny enough, it was one of the only schools that provided full scholarship. And I knew that there was no way I was going to get a postgraduate degree without getting a full scholarship, especially after not working for a year.
Anyone trusting for funding for school fees, funding has come. Amen. Whether it is for your children or for your masters, I said funding has come. Amen.
So that acceptance came in, and I also applied for their scholarship, and I trust that what God has started in my life, he will complete. This process helped me to learn a lot. I learned to trust God without knowing the outcome. I learned to see the brook in the desert. I learned to just really trust God as my source. From the time I've not been working up till now, I've just seen God show up for me consistently in a bunch of different ways, through community, in my finances when I've needed it, without working. It's honestly been a miracle. Even though these past few years have been hard, I'm so grateful to God for stepping in. And if you're like me, trusting God for something big in your life, I would invite you for Reboot Camp North America, happening September 4th to 6th. I really think you don't want to miss it, because you will see the hand of God in action there.